Hello and welcome to the Footy with Fletch podcast. This is episode 16 of the Footy with Fletch podcast. Today we've got senior coach of the Collingwood AFLW team, Steve Symonds. Hello, Steve. Thank you for joining me today.
Good afternoon, Fletch. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be great to talk to you this afternoon. I guess let's get into it. The 2021 AFLW season so far, of course, with COVID-19 has been a bit different. How have you been able to cope and along with the team to be able to cope with all of these last minute matchup changes with the games?
Yeah, look, it's certainly been interesting, but we've sort of come in for the mindset right from the start with our group that we're sort of expecting a lot of changes to happen, and we're just using the word being adaptable, which is pretty well thrown around by all clubs, I think, at the moment, and just getting used to whatever's put in front of us, we'll just adapt to and work our way through it. So everyone's in a really good space with it. They realise the challenges out there, and I think just generally everyone's just loving being able to get back and playing again and being back and being involved. So we'll do whatever we can to make sure that we've got a competition up and going and our players are playing.
Yeah, definitely is an interesting season this year. Of course, however, this year you've started the season 3-0 for the first time in the Collingwood AFLW history, and it's also the first time that you've won 3 games in a row. What sort of confidence does that give for you and the girls?
Yeah, look, I guess it does. Obviously, winning games gives you a sense of belief that you're on the right track. We certainly understand that we're still very much a building team, so we know we're going to have a few highs and lows as we go along, but it does give us some belief that we're heading in the right direction, and we are showing continued improvement.
Yeah, it definitely has been a great season for you so far. Do you and the AFLW team have goals for the 2021 season?
Look, our major goal really was last year we introduced a new game style and a lot of other different things within our program. This year, 2021, we really spoke about consolidating on what we introduced last year. The reality is we only really had 7 games into a new game style and game plan last year, so we haven't really had enough games to really embed our game style. So this year's given us an opportunity to go back over that. Revisit it all and just add a few extra layers, which we've been able to do so far, and we're really looking forward to continuing adding a few more layers and experimenting a few different things and continue to evolve.
Yeah, you definitely are a great team in the AFLW this year. How has it been, Mike, given the fact that there was no VFLW season last year? How has that affected the AFLW season preparation?
Yeah, it has quite a bit actually. There's been a couple of little bits to it. So I guess one of the positives of not having a VFLW season is that all of our players actually come in really good shape to the pre-season without any long-term or niggling injuries. So that was one positive of not having the VFL season. But on the other hand is that our players, as most athletes at elite level and any level, get used to playing on a week-to-week basis. And because that didn't occur, our players probably haven't been as hardened to the continual backing up of week to week, preparing for games, getting their bodies used to it like they did. And the VFLW was such a good competition to be able to do that. So the players get used to preparing their bodies, getting their mind set, but also then getting the experience of playing games as well, because we're still a very young and raw group. So the exposure to playing games is really valuable. But also from the fact, from a coaching perspective, for the VFLW, we've been able to trial a few things, put players in different roles to see how they would go, work on some development opportunities, and be able to make a few tweaks to game style and just see actually what it would look like in a genuine game. So we find the VFLW hugely beneficial for our players to play in.
Yeah, definitely is a great competition. So you started your sort of coaching career in the women's football level at Norwood. You established their women's football program. You led the team to 2 grand finals. What was that experience like for you?
Look, I really loved my time at Norwood, but also really enjoyed my time in setting up a program from scratch. So it was the first time the SANFLW competition had been formed. So to be able to assist with helping establish the competition, but then establish a program in a state league club was a fantastic experience. Everything was from scratch, so you're really trialing a lot of things, what works, what doesn't work, and starting to put the program in place. So, but you're not just working on the actual team that you've got. You're looking at all the development programs underneath as well that filter into the main senior team. So I really enjoyed the experience and the challenges behind that. There's a lot of time and effort put towards it. So, but had some fantastic learnings that come out of it.
Yeah, it was a great experience for you in your coaching career. How have you found your time as the senior AFLW coach at Collingwood?
Oh, I've loved it. I've really loved my time here at the club. It's got some fantastic people inside that are highly skilled in the areas that they work in. So not just as athletes or coaches, but we've got administration staff that are highly skilled in what they do, and a wide range of other people in the club that are highly skilled. But I'm really extremely fortunate to work with a great group of players that I really enjoy working with, and I've got a great group of support staff around me as well that I really enjoy working with. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my time, and really enjoy coming into work every day. It's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely has been a great opportunity for you. So you've had a great opportunity to coach some great players at Collingwood, including Steph Chiocci, Ash Brazel, Brianna Davey, Brett Benici, and Jamie Lambert, just to say some of those great names that you have got to coach. What is it like to be able to coach some of these great names in the AFLW?
It's, from my perspective, it's great to watch them up close every day in every training session, just how they go about their business. The girls in particular that you spoke about have really good football IQ. They understand the game really, really well. They understand their strengths and weaknesses as well, and they also understand what we're trying to build here as within our club environment as well. So to be able to see them go about their business day in, day out is fantastic. The ability to be able to provide them some extra guidance towards them becoming better players has also been great. We spend a lot of time going through footage and sitting down, working through skills and a range of different things all about football to try and make them better players. But also, we want them to become better leaders in our program as well. So it's not just the football aspect; it's about how they do things away from football and how we can help them with their personalities and leadership qualities improve our program inside. So. They're a great bunch of girls to work with, and as is all of our squad, and they're just an example of it.
It must be a great opportunity for you. So what is your week in the life of a typical AFLW round, and how do you prepare for a match?
Yeah, look, as an AFLW coach, it changes a little bit from the pre-season phase to the in-season phase. But from the in-season phase, straight away after a games, I guess we very much gather as much information we can from the game that we've just played, whether that's looking at our players, where their well-being and where they're physically at as well. So understanding if they've got any niggling injuries or any concerns from the game. Obviously, then reviewing their game about how they performed and how the team performed within that last game, breaking it down, and then working out what we need to focus on with our training for that week and how we're going to go about it, and really planning towards that. And then obviously looking at the opposition, who we're going to play next, and then breaking down their game a little bit and seeing how our strengths can be really shone upon when we play against them, but also understanding where our weaknesses are and how we can sort of minimise that against good opposition, and then vice versa, looking at their strengths and weaknesses and breaking that down. But for me, through the week, the design of trainings is really, really important to the way our players produce on game day. So a lot of time gets spent towards making sure that our training design and what we do within our training sessions is really proactive and really productive with what we're trying to do. And obviously all the way through the week, whether it's relationships with your players, whether it's your staff, you're having ongoing dialogue with all the people within the program, making sure that they understand pretty clearly what we're doing the next week, providing them feedback, giving them support where they need to be as far as their own development and that. So it's pretty full on. We've obviously also got our VFLW programs up and going at the same time. So I work across both programs as well within my role. So it's basically training sessions 5 nights a week. obviously a game on the weekend, and then we're obviously reviewing, cutting footage, all those other things on top of that. So there's not much time to catch a breath, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, it does seem like a very busy role. How do you sort of step away from football, the bubble of football, all of the media scrutiny, all of that sort of pressure? Do you find it difficult to switch off?
No, I'm pretty good with that side of things. I understand the aspect outside of football. I guess one of the fortunate aspects about my coaching career is I've started off at lower level to state league level with AFL environments. Obviously, at state league level, you spend a lot of hours coaching. You're spending coaching time, but you're also juggling employment outside of your coaching side of things as well. So obviously that. I think that gives me great perspective on life away from football as well, and understanding there's other things outside there. And I've got a little business that I run still back in SA outside of my football commitments here. My family currently still back in SA, so I travel a bit backwards and forwards between Melbourne and obviously Adelaide as well. So I've got good interests outside of football as well that keep me occupied. And family obviously has been number one. So I find it pretty easy to switch off from that. But obviously, when we're in the mode as coaches, you're always thinking about the game and thinking about where your next improvement's coming from and your next conversation you're going to have with a player and a staff member. So it's just about getting balance in life and balancing your coaching.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really important part of being a senior coach. So you grew up in Kimber, South Australia. What was it like for you to grow up in such a small country town?
Yeah, look, it's an experience I'll never change, because I think it's really helped me and kept myself pretty down to earth all the way through my coaching and the way I go about things in life. But I grew up on a country farm where our nearest neighbours were probably 10 kilometres away, so very isolated. The township was over 50 k's away, so you often didn't go into town, obviously for school, but and maybe just one night a week for sport or for training, and then on the weekend. So I was very sports orientated, so I want to have a crack at everything. But obviously, with family living a long way out of town, you sort of had to pick and choose the sports that you did, and when the right times were able to do that. So I love my country upbringing. Have still some really good lifelong friends from school days back then, and we actually still catch up, a couple of times a year when we can as well. So I think it's provided great groundings, and I think it's gave me perspective in life about all aspects of life, to be honest.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like a great experience for you. So who do you think would have had the greatest influence on your coaching career to date?
Probably one that probably people don't say is I'd probably say my wife firstly, because without her assistance and her ability to be able to take a fair load on the family side of things and around the home, I probably would never have even been able to continue coaching or even stay in coaching. So I guess she's had a huge influence on what I've done. And when the opportunity came up to come to Collingwood, she was really strong and encouraged me to pursue that. No matter what toll it took on our family, she felt it was something that I was suited to doing and needed to do that. So her push towards me doing that. So first, my wife's been fantastic. From a coach's or other coaches' point of view, I guess you gain a little bit from every single coach that you deal with and every single person that you deal with along your journey. And I've been very fortunate to be working alongside a lot of other good coaches and had exposure to a lot of other coaches around the country, which I certainly appreciate it. I know my time when I first came to State League was involved with Andy Collins, so he had a really good influence on me, the ex-Hawthorn player and coach, and he's a great coach. I found him a very hard coach, but he was really, really good for me. He gave me some really strong understanding about the next level and how to go about things. And I've got another guy who's a friend of mine, Murray Davis, who's currently coaching Brisbane Lions as assistant coach. He's been there for a number of years now. And Murray comes from a similar background to myself, not playing at the highest level, but he's been hugely successful with his coaching. And I've really enjoyed the way he's gone about his business, about the way he goes about things. So I've taken a little bit about his approach and how he's fitted into the AFL system and with his coaching as well. So there are probably a couple of people who've had significant involvement with my development and the way I've gone about my coaching.
Yeah, they definitely do seem like some fantastic people who have had a great influence on your life. What was the atmosphere like at the Swinburne Centre on Sunday with no crowds, of course, due to Victoria's COVID-19 lockdown?
Yeah, look, I guess the back end of last season, we had a little bit of a taste of what it was like without crowds. So we got a little bit used to that. And then obviously, then being able to have crowds back again. I mean, our first game against Carlton round one this season, when a crowd was back again and the atmosphere was there, was electric. It was a great to be involved with, and there's a real buzz around the ground that night as footy returned. So obviously, yeah, Sunday was a little bit different without a crowd, and you've really got to try and generate your own vibe amongst your group on days like that. But I mean, the girls and players and staff get pretty excited about game day, whether there's a crowd in front or not. They know they're playing or being going to be tested against good opposition and against good quality people who've got really good skills from the other side and the opposition. So everyone gets up and about that for the challenge that's there. But obviously, we all love having a crowd around and generally people watching, because that's what actually creates the game. So let's hope down the track that we get some games. It looks like this weekend we will get crowds back again, and let's hope that the crowds are here to stay.
Yeah, definitely is such an important part of the AFL and the AFLW. How would you feel if you had to go into a hub if the COVID-19 situation worsened?
Look, I think all the players and staff are prepared to do as much as they can, and for as long as they can as well. Obviously, with a number of our staff members and players also working as well, that's obviously a juggling act, and there's going to be some difficulties with doing that. But I think all of us who are involved are really committed to making sure that the competition continues and that women's football is showcased to its best opportunity it can. So we're happy to deal with whatever we can, and whatever's in front of us, we'll adapt and take on board.
Yeah, definitely. It will be really interesting to see how this season unfolds. When you were a child, did you always want to be a sports coach, Steve?
Uh, no, it's not something I really actually thought about. I actually wanted to be a sports broadcaster and commentator like yourself. And that was what I really wanted to do. I always loved sport, so that was always going to be a big part of my future or life down the track. And I sort of fell into coaching as I sort of went along, and I became a coach at a fairly reasonably young age. At 25, I became as a playing coach. But I always held leadership responsibilities all the way through my late teens, and even in my work early on, I had strong or high leadership positions early on. I had high levels of responsibility, so I sort of loved that aspect of having responsibility as a leader. And I guess with the opportunity to combine that with sport, I guess I sort of fell into coaching, and then as soon as I started, I just found it something that I just love doing and I'm really passionate about, and it's something that brings the best out of myself, and it challenges me on a daily basis, and I really enjoy that aspect of coaching. And you never master it. There's always something to learn the next day, and you get exposed to something different every day. So I love that aspect towards it. So yeah, so I sort of fell into it, but ever since I started, it's something that I just really, really enjoy. And I think I've been coaching nearly 25 years down the track, and I haven't missed a beat since, and still to this day enjoy every day of it.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like a really interesting life journey for you. You said that you've been in the coaching industry for 25 years. Would have there been a particular moment along the journey that has stuck with you forever?
Oh, I think all moments do. I think you have your highs and lows. So there's moments where have been pretty low that you think and say that your team's been a low point or your club's been a low point, and they're always tough, but they're always in the memory. But there's also your highs where you've won premierships and had success as a playing group, and that along the way. But I've had a lot of highs and lows each day all the way through. But even just meeting people within the industry and talking to a different person and getting a gold nugget or finding a bit of information that you haven't come across before, and you think it's something that's going to make yourself better and also your team better, is always a great high in that as well. So sports, that it's got highs and lows all the way through, and as coaches experience that on a daily basis as well. So sport has a funny way of leveling you out pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely is such an important thing in our lives. When you were growing up, were you always interested in football, Steve?
Always interested in football. Probably started playing, I think, at 6 years of age in a small country town. Always loved the Kangaroos, so I've always been a Kangaroo supporter all the way through, and still a Kangaroos member. But obviously my allegiance now is with the Collingwood Football Club. But always supported the Kangaroos. I think that was the fact that growing up on the farm, we had hundreds of thousands of kangaroos jumping around, so it was an instant attraction to that sort of club, I think. So, but yeah, always loved footy, and I just love the progress of it all the way through. Like, it's certainly changed and evolved over the years. The game styles, the way the trainings are done, the way the coaching delivery's changed over times. Like, there's been so many different aspects from going to part-time to full-time in the sport. There's a wide range of different things. And now, obviously, with women's football now starting up over recent years, and the excitement behind that and how that's progressing, it's fantastic to watch, and it's going to be fantastic to see where the women's football ends up in the next 10 to 15 years. I'm really excited to see where it ends up.
Yeah, definitely is such a great sport. Just finally, thank you very much for your time today, Steve. It's been fantastic to talk to you and get an insight into you and your career.
Thank you. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. So there you have it, Steve Symonds on the Footy with Fletch podcast. Goodbye for now. Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 16 of the Footy with Fletch podcast. Thank you very much as well to Steve Symonds, who was the guest, the Senior AFLW coach of the Collingwood Football Club. It was great to talk to you, Steve, given your busy schedule, and we wish you and the girls all the very best for the rest of the 2021 AFLW footy season. So thank you for that, Steve. But to all of our listeners, thank you very much for listening to episode 16 of the Footy with Fletch podcast. I hope that you all stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for the next episode of Footy with Fletch. Bye for now.